السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. I had a couple of minutes this morning. Gotta go and take care of something, so I figured it was Monday morning. Maybe I could, take the opportunity to share some information with you guys to help lift your spirits up, help, us be more self-reflective, as that is, my plight, to be more self-reflective. So let me just leave you guys with some advice. The enemy within. Some of us are our own biggest enemy. Some of us are our own biggest enemy. The enemy within. If you do not challenge the enemy within, you will never be able to face your enemy without. If you do not face the enemy within, you will never be able to face the enemy without. And the enemy without are many. They come in many different shapes and forms. Sometimes we attract the enemy without because we have not challenged the enemy within. Sometimes we attract the enemy without simply because we have not challenged the enemy within. This concept comes from many different places, but give you some Islamic context. One of the great Islamic scholars, Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya, rahimahullah ta'ala, he made a very profound statement. He said, "Man lam yujahid aduwahu al-dakhil, lan yujahid aduwahu al-kharij." He said, he who does not fight the enemy within will never be able to fight the enemy without. The reference that he's making here is to Shaitan, our eternal enemy. Man's eternal enemy, Shaitan, Satan, the devil. That if you do not confront the enemy within, you will never be able to confront the enemy, fight the enemy without. What does he mean by that? What is the enemy within? What is the enemy within? And the enemy within, there are, although he used it in the singular, there are tons of enemies that we have within. So let's kind of pick apart real quick some of the enemies, the internal enemies, because you have some people who like to believe that everybody is against them, nobody likes them, everybody is, attacking them, everybody, everywhere they go, people can't handle their energy. And the thing about it is that you are probably your own worst enemy. While you like to make it seem, because it almost looks, it almost makes you look like, this superhero when you are able to identify all of these enemies without, oh, this person don't like me because of this, and this person can't handle my energy because of that, and this person over here, and all of these people are against me. It makes yourself look like the superhero, right? But the fact of the matter is that you are your own worst enemy. And all you're doing is, by not challenging the enemy within, you just attract external enemies. You create external enemies because you don't deal with the enemy within. Do you realize that? You create enemies. Some of us, you create enemies. Some of you guys listening right now, you have enemies, not because people don't like you, not because people can't handle your energy, not because people are against you. You have enemies, or you have enemies without, because you are your biggest enemy within. And all the enemies, the external enemies, is just a response to the lack of you challenging your internal enemy. It's just a response. So let's kind of pick apart real quick. What are some of these internal enemies? Let me give you number one at the top of my list: a lack of sincerity. At the core of every dysfunction is a lack of sincerity. When people are disingenuous, when people are insincere, that becomes an internal enemy. That means that no matter where you go, you have a different face no matter where you go. And when people can see that you have multiple faces, they'll meet you where you are, but they have no respect for you. They have no respect for you. I remember being at a lecture just recently. I was in California, and one of the speakers had given a story, just talking about a lack of sincerity, right? And he said that, a Muslim, he went to a job interview, and during the job interview, the guy never said anything about him being a Muslim. So the boss, the guy that's interviewing him is telling him, you have to work on Friday, you have to be to work at this time, you have to shave your beard, and you have to do this, and you have to do that. And the guy, the Muslim is sitting there not saying anything. Not saying anything. So he's like, yeah, I'll come to work on Friday. Yeah, I'll shave my beard. Yeah, I'll do this, I'll do that. And, just hoping that he would get the job. He just agreed to everything, right? Agreed to everything. And then the interviewer said, I'll call you back in a day or two and let you know whether or not you got the job. So a week went by, 2 weeks went by, no phone call. So the guy decides to pick up the phone and call the office to find out whether or not he got hired or whether he got the job. So the secretary answers the phone and says, yeah, I remember you. We gave the job to someone else. The guy says, how? Why? I want to know why. I agreed to everything. Like, why didn't I get the job? So the guy decides to come into the place that was hiring him and to speak to the manager, who the one that interviewed him. So when he sat and he went and he said, do you remember me? I came in 2 weeks ago. You interviewed me for the job, and I just want to know why I didn't get the job. Why did you give the job to someone else? I had all of these different qualifications. And the interviewer looked at him and said, because you are a Muslim, right? And the guy says, yeah. He said, well, isn't it part of your religion that you go pray on Friday? He said, yeah. He said, isn't it part of your religion that you keep your beard? He said, yeah. He said, isn't it part of your religion that you have to pray 5 times a day? He said, yeah. He said, well, you didn't say anything about any of those things when I was interviewing you. You didn't say anything about any of that. You agreed to everything that I gave you. Everything that I requested of you, you agreed to. He said, and the reason why we gave the job to someone else other than you is because a man who does not respect his faith is not someone that I want to work for me. So that's why we didn't give you the job. A lack of sincerity. People can spot when you are sincere. And sometimes being sincere, it attracts enemies. But the enemies that you attract because you are sincere enemies. And if a person doesn't like me sincerely because there's something about my energy that, conflicts with his, I can respect that. These are not the type of enemies that are going to do things behind your back or whatever. They're going to face you and let you know, I don't like you. We don't get along. Our energies don't, mix in the same room. You stay on your side. I stay on. I can deal with that. I can deal with that. But when you are insincere with everybody else, when you're insincere with the world around you, then the world around you is going to be insincere with you. You see how that works? Some people think that they can put on a different face no matter where they are and get along with pretty much everybody. And you might be able to do that. But guess what? No one is really going to like you. For you. They like the face that you put on. They like the mask that you wear when you're around them because it's placating the feelings of the environment. But you as an individual, they have no respect for you. That's an internal enemy. At the core of every dysfunction is a lack of sincerity. Internal enemy. Learn how to be sincere and be genuine in everything that you do. If you don't like someone, be genuine about the fact that you don't like them. If you like someone, be genuine about the fact that you do like them. If you are genuine, then you're going to attract genuine energy. He who does not fight the internal enemy will never be able to fight his external enemy. Number 2, from our internal enemies is insecurity. This is a big one. Insecurity is that feeling of inferiority when someone or something or you're put into a situation where someone or something makes you shrink in their presence. And the fact of the matter is that we give people permission to make us feel inferior. No one walks into a room and automatically should have that much power to walk into a room and automatically make you feel insecure. You gave the person permission to make you feel insecure. So that internal, and the thing about it is that insecurity is very dangerous. Why? Because in order for you to maintain feelings of superiority, maintain feelings of, authority, you got to make the person that makes you feel insecure, you got to get rid of them. You got to tear them down. You got to break them down so that you can maintain your sense of superiority. You can maintain your feelings of superiority, because as long as that person is able to exist in your presence, in your space, they're going to make you feel insecure. You shrink when they walk around, when they come in the same room as you. When you walk into a room and you look around the room and you see this person or that person, you shrink automatically. So sometimes what we'll do is we'll play psychological games with ourselves. We'll tell ourselves, this person is not this person is not that, this person is this, and we'll find ways to mentally break them down in our minds so that we can build ourselves up, so that we don't feel insecure around them. So basically what we do is end up overcompensating, right? We end up overcompensating for our insecurity. And the fact of the matter is that no one should have that much power to walk into a room and make you feel insecure. That is an internal enemy. And if you do not fight that internal enemy, you will never be able to fight your external enemy. Shaitan will play with that every single time. Shaitan catches us when we are most vulnerable. Don't underestimate your weaknesses. Don't underestimate your weaknesses. Know what your weaknesses are. Know what your weaknesses are. As the scholars say, ma'rifatu al-illa nisf al-ilaj. That understanding your disease is half of your cure. Understanding your disease is half of your cure. Understand know your weaknesses. Know the things that you are weak to and begin working on those things. I think in the Islamic community, we like to put so much emphasis on the external, especially with students of knowledge and leaders and preachers, that we, some of them can, I'm telling you from my own personal, some of them are the most insecure men that I have ever come across in my entire life. In my 22 years as a Muslim, my travels as a Muslim, as a leader in the Islamic community, I have in my travels come across men that are, have put themselves up to be leaders, imams in the Islamic community, and are some of the most insecure, some of the most weak people that you can ever come across. And that's not to put myself in a higher position. I mean, we all have insecurities, but I'm aware of that. I'm aware of the things that make me insecure. And when I'm put in that situation, it's not for me to challenge the thing that is making me insecure. It's for me to challenge my insecurity. You understand? The enemy within. Why do I feel insecure when this person comes around? Why, when this person comes around, does that make me feel insecure? Why does it make me feel inferior? That's a question that only you can answer. And the answer to that question is not beyond yourself. It's within yourself. It's within yourself. A lot of our insecurities started when we were children. A lot of it had, a lot of, our matriculating through the school system from K to 12. A lot of what we experienced throughout that process has contributed to a lot of our insecurities. And many students of knowledge have gone on to study Islam and study the intricacies of Islam only to cover their insecurities. So I can regurgitate what I read out of a book. I can quote Arabic and I can back everybody up off of me. And I can make myself seem like I'm more than what I really am. I don't have to feel insecure anymore. Men do it in their marriages with their wives. I'm gonna shut you down. I'm gonna use obey your husband. That shuts you up. Fear Allah shuts you up. Well, you don't know Arabic or you don't understand the Quran. Tell me a scholar who said that. And we use all of these different phrases to back people up off of us because of that fear of feeling inferior, that fear of someone challenging us. And the thing about it is that you need to challenge yourself. Why do you feel like that? Why do you feel like that? Why do you feel when a student graduates from a university in the Islamic world and comes back to America and begins to create a name for himself, why do we feel like I have to either make this person get underneath my foot, tahta aqdamina, to get underneath my foot, or I'm going to discard him? He's disposable. I'm going to discard him simply because you are insecure. And it's really sad, man. It's really sad. We got a bunch of insecure, inferior feeling men walking amongst us, parading around with white thobes on, with long beards, quoting Arabic. But the fact of the matter is that your biggest enemy is not the Hizbi, it's not the Mubtadi', it's not the innovator, it's not the people of innovation, it's not the Sufis, it's not this one, it's not that. Your biggest enemy is you. Your biggest enemy is you. Man marries another woman, marries into polygyny, and the woman doesn't want to get along with the other woman. And mind you, we know that this is a part of the religion. Maybe it's not something that you signed up for, but here we are. Here we are. But I'm not going to talk to her. I'm not going to do it. And the fact of the matter is that, why do you feel so inferior? And a lot of times it has to do with our jealousies. Our jealousy. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, what did she say? She said, the first time that I saw Juwayriya, she was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen in my life. She said, and I went to Hafsa, and I went to tell Hafsa, her other co-wife, about how beautiful Juwayriya was. And Hafsa said, her beauty is just like the beauty of, Jamaluha kasa'ir an-nisa. Her beauty is no different than the beauty of other women. There's nothing spectacular or amazing or extraordinary about her beauty. Aisha said, some time went by, and I went and I saw Juwayriya again, and her beauty was just like the rest of the beauty of other women. And I realized at that moment that it was my jealousy. You see what happened here? What happened here? Aisha's jealousy exacerbated the beauty of Juwayriya. She wasn't necessarily that beautiful, but Aisha's insecurity, Aisha's jealousy exacerbated and made it look like it was more than what it really was. Is that the case, that sometimes as men, we are so jealous and so insecure when we see a brother that our jealousy and insecurity makes him in our eyes look more than what he really is? I mean, at some point you have to ask yourself, if we've been on a campaign warning against this individual and talking about this incessantly, it's like, what is the problem here? You guys don't see anything wrong with that? You guys don't see anything wrong with that? I mean, the incessant need to constantly keep mentioning this man's name, or this person's name, and that person's name. It's just like, what is wrong with you, man? What is wrong with you? Shaitan has you going, and you can't stop. Same thing with a woman in polygyny. It's like the whole entire time the man is married to this woman, you cannot stop thinking about this woman. Incessantly, she has consumed every single inch of your being. Shaitan got you going. Man lam yujahid aduwahu al-dakhil, lan yujahid aduwahu al-kharij. He who does not wage war against his internal enemy will never be able to wage war against his external enemy. You will lose every single time. Jealousy, insecurity, inferiority, all of these things are internal enemies. Last one, and I'll just stop here. Self-discipline. If you don't know how to discipline yourself, anyone who is successful in life is successful because there was a level of discipline that they had to exercise. They say that there's 2 times that a man experiences regret in his life. The regret for the regret of exercising discipline, and the regret for not exercising discipline. 2 types of pain a man will experience in his life: the pain of exercising discipline, when you're saying, all right, everybody else is doing that, but I'm not going to do it, that's painful. That's painful. Allah tells us clearly in the Quran, لا يغرنك تقلب الذين كفروا في البلاد متاع قليل. Do not let those who have no consciousness of Allah, those who disbelieve in God, have no consciousness of Allah, have no consciousness of accountability in the hereafter, do not let their moving about in the earth unrestrictedly, uninhibitedly, do not let their moving about through the earth deceive you. They can go where they want, they can sleep with whoever they want, they can drink whatever they want, they can eat whatever they want. Uninhibitedly. They can do whatever they want. Don't let that deceive you. Allah says, Mata'un qaleel, it is only a temporary enjoyment. See, in Islam, we go for, delayed gratification, while those who have no consciousness of Allah, they go for instant gratification. They want it right now. But choose in haste and regret in leisure. Choose in haste and regret in leisure. In Islam, we are taught to have delayed gratification. I'll get mine later. I'll have mine later. And that comes with a level of discipline. That comes with a level of discipline. And there's some who want the instant gratification. Instant gratification. We want it right now. But choose in haste and regret in leisure. You'll regret that later on. But we want delayed, and we're willing to discipline ourselves in order to have it. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Dunya sijnu mu'min wa jannatul kafir," that this dunya, the life of this world, is a prison for the believer. The discipline. There's discipline there. There's through our pain, like we draw from pain. Not eating, not drinking, not engaging in sexual relations with our spouse. We draw from that pain. And it gives us access to deeper levels of consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and deeper levels of self-control. He said that this life of this world is a prison for the believer, and it is paradise for the disbeliever. Those who live life without any morals, those who live life without any consciousness of God, those who live life without any fear of consequences, divine or otherwise, they don't care. Instant gratification, they want it right now. And we have to ask ourselves, is my biggest enemy instant gratification? Do I want it right now? Or can I have delayed gratification? Meaning I can wait and get mine. I can wait and get it. And these are some of just the internal enemies that we have that are, hindering us from achieving the best, states of ourselves. If Islam is not teaching you, if your imam, your teacher, your preacher, whoever he is not teaching you to become the best version of yourself, then at some point you need to question the person's teachings. Because this is all from Islam, from Al-Fatiha to Surah An-Nas. This is exactly what Islam is teaching us. And here we are producing Muslims today who have, who are very insecure, very, have suffered from severe levels of inferiority complexes, lack of discipline. So many, and it's just like, what are we doing wrong? What is the problem? Why are we not concentrating on the internal enemy? And it's always the external enemy. Oh, it's the kuffar. Oh, it's the disbelievers. Oh, it's Ahlul Bid'ah. Oh, it's the people of innovation. Oh, it's the Hizbis. Oh, it's that. Oh, I remember a student in knowledge. This is the same guy who, was expelled from the university 3 times, kicked out of the Islamic university 3 times. How do you get kicked out of an Islamic university? I still, just for the life of me, can't figure that out. Nonetheless, was kicked out of the Islamic university 3 times. This guy from the UK. All right. Someone that, many of you guys hold him to be such a big scholar, mashallah. Abu Fulan and Abu Fulan, kicked out of the university 3 times, right? And he got on public and was asked, why didn't he graduate from the Islamic university? And this dude had the audacity to say, the Hizbis, the Hizbis infiltrated the Hizbis infiltrated the Islamic University and, stopped me from getting my education. And it's just like, dude, you were kicked out 3 times. You spent most of your time there giving lectures to other students who had, here again, that lack of intellectual autonomy, right? You can't think for yourself. Here you are at the prestigious Islamic University, and you're sitting learning from Abu Fulan and Fulan rather than going and sitting with scholars that are right there. As a matter of fact, to make things even worse, you had students of knowledge telling other students not to sit with certain scholars. Go figure. Think about the absurdity of this. And this, I'm letting you guys in on stuff that you probably wouldn't know unless you were there. If you know, you know. But some of you will never get the inside story because, we come back to America and we try to, paint this picture that everything was all good. I'm a realist, so I live in a real world. I'm sorry, I can't, I'm not going to play that role, and I'm not going to paint that picture for you. I'm going to tell you what really happened. You had students of knowledge, students in the university, telling other students which scholars to sit with and which scholars not to sit with. Here again, the lack of intellectual autonomy. You can't think for yourself, meaning you travel all the way from France, you travel all the way from, the UK, you travel all the way from America to have somebody who is just as ignorant as you are tell you which scholar you can listen to and take knowledge from and which scholar you can't. And some of those same brothers are doing the same thing right here in America today, telling you who you can listen to, who you can't listen to. You have got to be kidding me, man. Have some more respect for yourself. Have some respect for your own intellect. Don't let anybody take that away from you, man. I ain't saying you got to listen to me, because if that's your mentality, listening to me ain't going to do you no good, because I don't preach to people who don't have intellectual autonomy. I don't preach to people like that. And I don't want people like that following me. Don't say you take from Shadid. No, you say you don't take from me, because I don't want any of that nonsense to be attributed to me. I promote empowerment, intellectual autonomy, critical thinking. That's what I promote. That is what I promote. Spirituality, morality. That is what I promote. So trust me, you're not doing me no favors by saying, oh, I don't take from him. I don't. Great. I'm glad you don't. Because who you do take from is a reflection of the information that they're giving you. Your behavior, your character, how you practice your religion is a direct reflection of the well that you are drinking from, the water that you are drinking from, the person that you are learning your knowledge from. And if some of the behaviors and some of the, comments and statements that I see from a lot of the Muslims, if that is what you are getting from, then stay exactly where you are. Because the fact of the matter is that, as I believe Harriet Tubman said, that I freed X amount of slaves, and I could have freed many more if they would only recognize they were slaves. Some people just not going to make it, and that's just the bottom line. And I've come to that conclusion. But the fact of the matter is that we have to work on our internal. We have to work on our internal. Otherwise, we're going to produce another generation of Islam. And I mean, if you haven't paid attention, a lot of these Muslim children today, they have absolutely no connection to the religion. Their only connection is that they go to Islamic school. Their only connection to Islam is that they go to Islamic school. Their only connection to Islam is that, their parents are Muslim. That's their single most connection to the religion. And that's very dangerous, because within another generation or so, Islam amongst many of our children will be gone, will be lost. Allahu musta'an wa alayhi tuklan. And we seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evil of ourselves. We hear that every Jumu'ah. We seek refuge with Allah from the evil of our own selves. The Prophet ﷺ used to supplicate, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min sharri nafsi wa min sharri shaitan wa min sharri shariki. Oh Allah, I seek refuge with you from the evil of myself, and the evil of shaitan, and the evil of his shirk, his ways that he makes us fall into associating partners with him. and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. You guys have been great. I hope that this was some inspiration for you this Monday morning. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallama tasliman kathira wa akhiru da'wana an alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.